Then came the crisis, world crisis, September 2008. All of you, those who have studied finance would know that September 2008, there was an unprecedented world crisis, like Great Depression. There was a great, the United States went into recession. Japan was always struggling with recession, but many other countries also went into deep recession. European countries went into deep recession. And there was a talk about Indian economy also going into recession. That was, of course, there's the political economy of that, but I don't want to go into that. The point here is that I was probably the only soul who was saying that there's no way we are going into recession. We are nowhere even near recession. And what happened? From 9% plus average growth rate, we came down to 6.8%, which was not much, shaving off little more than 2 percentage points. Recession is a situation where there is a negative growth for 2 successive quarters. So American economy had -4% growth, that was recession, deep recession. Western Europe minus 3.5%, but we were never anywhere close to recession. From 9% plus, we came down to 6.8%. That was in the year 8-9, 2008, 2009, bounced back in 9-10 to 8% plus. And we are talking about 8.6% for this year. We are talking about 9% plus for next year. And in the next 3 years, we are talking about crossing that magical number of 10% double-digit growth. That is where we are. And this is undoubtedly the result of the reforms and the great productive potential of our people that was unleashed. So that's the first achievement. The second achievement, to my mind, and this is not the formal official view, this is as a student of economics, I'm sharing this with you, my own perception of what we have achieved and where we have failed. The second one is of course that we have succeeded in bringing down the proportion of people below poverty line. There are many technical problems, so without going into the technical problems, let me say this, that in the 70s, when our country gave the slogan of Garibi Hatao, that was the time when the proportion of people below poverty line was the highest. At one time in 1976, the proportion of poor people below poverty line was as high as 44%. There are a lot of people even today who believe that all these reforms and the new economic policy is anti-poor and it is meant for cornering the poor. If that were so, the proportion of people below poverty line should have shot up from 44% to 84%. Has that happened? It has not happened. It has come down to about 24%. That is again an old number. New numbers will be available now in a matter of a year or so, and you will see the great change that is taking place. So that is the second achievement. Third achievement, which is very important, as I said, in 1991 we had only $1 billion of foreign exchange reserves left, and that brought us on the brink of a disaster, a collapse. Today, in the last few months, our foreign exchange reserves have reached a level of nearly $300 billion US, and we are the 6th largest holder of foreign exchange in the world. Do you realize how important it is? Just imagine, there are a lot of people who ask questions, what is it important to us? Why is it important? What would happen to the poor? Why can't we use that money for poor? That kind of thing doesn't work that way. Just imagine what would have happened if we did not have this war chest of $300 billion US. What would have happened to our currency? What would have happened to all our economic indicators if we did not have the war chest of $300 billion US? That is where its importance is. But the most important thing, and this is strangely, government does not even take credit for that properly. Do you know that if you look at our track record, every 7th year India has gone to IMF, the International Monetary Fund, or the World Bank with a begging bowl. Bhiksham Dehi. Every 7th year without fail from 1947 to 1991. The last time we took a big loan from IMF was 1991. Yes, that is true. And there are a lot of people, particularly my friends from the left of the ideological balance, who are never tired about complaining about the loan that were taken. But they do not tell you, and the government also surprisingly do not tell you, that the loan was paid back in full by the year 1999. And most importantly, do you know that in the last 5 years, India has actually started lending money to the International Monetary Fund for onward lending to poorer countries. The amounts are small, but the change is enormous. For a country which was every 7th year going with a begging bowl to the IMF, has now become a first time in its history, it has become a net lender to the International Monetary Fund and in turn to the international community. So there are very, very positive changes which have taken place. Let's talk, should not give you an idea that everything is hunky-dory. No, it can't be. There are many things that are which have not happened, and these are something negative factors. I've given you 3 positives, so let me talk about the 3 negatives. The list of positives can be very big, but since I have given you 3 positives, I want to give you 3 equivalent negatives. What is the biggest problem on the negative side, or the other side of the balance sheet? First, what has happened is that while our growth rate has accelerated tremendously, the benefits of growth have not been uniformly distributed to different strata of society. So what we have is a situation where, some people like to call it India and Bharat. There are different ways of looking at it, but the point is the fruits or the benefits of the reform have not really been evenly spread across different strata of society, and that is a very, very important thing. As a result of that, what has happened is, while the growth rate has accelerated, the rate of job creation has not accelerated pari passu. This is very serious problem, because it cannot go on. If the chasm between these two goes on widening, please understand, if it goes on widening, today or tomorrow it is going to tear down the social fabric of our country. So it is a much bigger problem. So when I talk to corporates, I keep telling them all the time that, you are not doing any mehrbani by doing the corporate social responsibility. You are doing this in your own enlightened self-interest. Because the profitability on which you are basing everything is ultimately premised on social stability, which would be at stake if we let this chasm between the two go on widening. The chasm between those to whom the benefits of reform reach and those to whom they have not reached. So this, to my mind, is the most important problem. It is reflected in different ways. Another thing is that, as I said, India today is the 2nd fastest growing country in the world. So if you rank all the countries in the world by their rate of economic growth, yes, we are 2nd and we are proud of that. But on the other hand, if you just change that criterion and rank them on a social indicator, such as Human Development Index, where are we? Are we in the top 10? No. Are we in the top 20? Ille. Are you in the top 50? No. Are you in the top 100? No. In the 145 countries for whom the analysis has been done, we happen to be at 134th rank. So we are in the bottom of the crowd. Now this is the anomaly, which is the biggest challenge that we have in future. On one hand, if you rank all the countries in the world by rate of economic growth, we are in the top 2. We are the 2nd and we are proud about it. But if you rank them by social indicators such as Human Development Index, we are in the bottom 20%. Nothing to write home about. If we do not reconcile this, we are going to be in trouble. And therefore, there is a major emphasis being given in our policy making on social sectors such as education, health, skill development, and so on. But that's the second one. Third one is inflation. Inflation, as you all know, inflation is, I'm sure your teachers might have told you that inflation is like a most iniquitous form of taxation because it hurts poor more than it hurts the rich. So it is an iniquitous form of taxation. It is taking away your resources, but while doing that, it is hitting the poor more than it is hitting the rich. And therefore, it's a very serious problem. We have food inflation in particular has again this week gone into double digit, which is simply not acceptable. This remains a major challenge. This is not the time and occasion to talk about their causes, consequences, but this has to be identified as a very serious problem that we have. On the other hand, one can always give you numbers to show that our track record about inflation is much better than many other countries. But that is no comfort to a large number of poor people in our country, where inflation is really hurting them very deeply. So there are advantages and there are disadvantages. But what is the net picture that comes out? I've talked about positives and I've talked about negatives. If you put them together, I think, and incorrigible optimist that I think I am, I think the net result is very positive, incredible. The very fact that we have been able to address those three, achieve those three things that I said, obviously means that we have the capacity, if we put our mind together, if we act as one people, we will be able to address these remaining three issues that which are on the negative side. But the net result, to my mind, there are two changes which have taken place, and this is very important when you are going out in the job market again. Many of you have come from, having worked, but many of you are going afresh, or others are also going back to the job market. Internationally speaking, there are two things that have happened in our country which you must know, and that is why I think you are very fortunate. Because when we were graduating like you, at that time the country was growing at the rate of 3.5%. When a country is growing at 3.5%, the number of opportunities which would be available would be very, very limited. But when the country is growing at the rate of 9% and hoping to grow by 10% or more, the incredible opportunities which are available to you are unmatched, and that is why you are fortunate. But before I talk about those opportunities, I want to also say that two observations. I happen to believe that in 35 years of my professional life, I have never seen we as a nation being more confident about ourselves than what we are today. Never before we were as confident as we are today. This is the achievement. This is the intangible achievement. The second intangible achievement, which I want to emphasize for all of you, is that the rest of the world has never had greater confidence in India's future than what it has today. Remember, in 1991, nobody was prepared to look at us. And we had to swap our own gold to be able to get some funding. That was the most humiliating thing that happened, but that taught us something and we changed everything. But the point here is that I remember in the 80s when you went abroad and you said that you are Indian, people would actually look down on you, you are Indian. That was the kind of patronizing attitude that the rest of the world had about us. Today when you go out and proudly say you are an Indian, they look up to you rather than looking down on you. So there is a complete change in the perception of the rest of the world for India as a nation and people like you and me. And that is why you should consider yourselves to be very, very fortunate for being young and getting out there in the world. Now the challenge for you, I'm coming to the final part of my speech, I've been told that I should also advise my young friends here about their future, about their life. I'm going to be very brief here because unsolicited advice is something that never goes well. But people keep asking me, what is the secret of your success and all that. There's no secret of success, nor there is any formula for success. And a couple of things that Honorable Chairperson mentioned, hard work. I want to put that out in terms of 9 different principles of achieving success for your benefit. And I'm going to these are applicable to a very wide range, not only for those management students, but for any young person. This is a 9-point formula of do's and don'ts, things that you must do and things that you must avoid. First of that is aim high. Please realize the competence that you have. So aiming high is incredibly important. I have always believed that it's not failure, but it is low aim that is a crime. So I have also believed, those of you who have read my family biography, I have given there are a lot of things there, but one of the things which I have argued there passionately at the end of my book is that nobody is useless. Every human being has something divine in him or her. Nobody is useless. It could be of something, some subject, it could be some art, it could be some sport, something divine is in you. And in everybody, you must recognize what is divine in you, and you must allow yourself to recognize that there is some divinity in the other people as well. Sachin Tendulkar is a good example. Do you know what a horrible student he was as a student? Sachin, he realized that his divine quality was in cricket, and we all know what wonderful, great, fascinating job that he has done. But every year in his school, he had to be pushed to the higher standard. He could barely go into the college because his divinity in him lied in cricket. The point is, nobody is useless. Everybody has something really divine. Keeping that in mind, you have to have a very high aim. It is the low aim that is crime. Failure is not a crime. That is the first principle. The second one, whatever goal, whatever objective that you have to have a burning desire to get there. Incredibly burning desire. The importance of burning desire cannot be underestimated. You cannot treat your goal as something casual, that mil gaya to mil gaya, nahi mil gaya to theek hai, kya farak padta hai. If you have that kind of attitude, there is no way you can go anywhere near the goal. The third principle is there is no substitute for hard work. Please understand, that was emphasized by the chairperson also, hard work, importance of hard work. I like to remind people, remind my young friends of a great saying by Thomas Alva Edison, who invented the electric bulb. He used to say that even for a genius, it is only 1% that is inspiration, and remaining 99% is perspiration. So even if you are a genius, unless your genius is supplemented by 99% of perspiration, there is no way you will be able to achieve anything outstanding in your life. So third principle is no substitute for the hard work. Fourth is never ever take shortcut. Never. Shortcut always and invariably turn out to be long cut. Whatever is it that you want to achieve in life, whatever it takes to achieve that, you must be willing to do it rather than cutting corners. If you try to cut corners and try to achieve success, it cannot be lasting at all. So that no shortcuts. Fifth one, time management. Time management is a very, lots of people in the history of humanity have achieved so much great success. They have their own styles. But one of the things which is common among all of them is that all of them have always managed their time very well. So time management holds the key to your future. That is the fifth principle. Sixth one, don't compromise on quality and quality of input, nor on the quality of the outcome that you achieve. Sab chalta hai kind of attitude is not going to work. Whatever you are doing, give your 100% to that. Don't compromise on your input and never compromise on the outcome that you are trying to get. So that is the sixth principle. The seventh principle is something which is very dear to my heart. Please recognize, and this is the time to recognize, there is no substitute. There is no substitute for two things in life. One is your parents, and second is your motherland. And those who think that there are substitutes learn it very hard way how they were gravely and grossly mistaken into believing that there was a substitute. I want to narrate a small incident. When I finished my PhD in the United States, with all those awards, the 15 job offers were made to me. And those days, nobody was coming back. I'm talking about 80s, ancient history. So nobody was coming back, and I was very clear. Fifth day after I finished my PhD, I was back in India. So when I announced in the Indian Student Association that I'm going to get my PhD in the next week and next month, and then I'm going to go back, everybody was astounded. Are you mad? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Why are you going back? So I told them that you don't ask an innocent person why he is not a thief. You ask a thief why he has been stealing, but you don't ask an innocent person why he is not a thief. So rather than asking me why I am going back, you ought to ask yourselves, why are you not going back? There were three middle-aged, I was quite young at that time, there were three middle-aged people in the audience, They came to my house one at a time and shook hands with me to say that, I only wish I was as clear about my life as you are in your age. Today, I am at a stage where every day I think of going back to India, but my children tell me, if you want to go, Papa, you go, we are going to stay here. Never forget that your parents are on your side. They are part of your team. So you should listen to them and listen to them carefully. The role of parents in our family, in our life, in our value system was put the best possible manner by Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. He said that the role of parents in our life is like that of a ceiling. When it is there, you just take it for granted when it is there. That is being there is taken for granted. When it is not there, then you suddenly realize how you are exposed to big bad world out there. So the point is, recognize that your parents are part of your team, and never, that doesn't mean, however, that you must do everything that your parents ordain you to do. No, it only means that listen to them carefully, respect them, think about it, and take your own decisions, maybe in consultation with them. But you don't have to do everything that they tell you to do. Important thing is to respect them and not to forget that they are part of your team. The eighth principle is a social commitment. I meet a lot of young people day in and day out, and while I'm very impressed with the brilliance that they have, the ambitions that they have, the fire in them that they have, sometimes I get very worried, particularly about IT kind of students. There is a class of students who would know what is the latest in their super specialized field that has happened in the last week, what has come in about their super specialty in the journal in the United States last week, they would know. But oftentimes they do not know what is burning under their own feet. They do not know what are the problems that are faced in their own family. They do not know the kind of problem that is faced by the neighborhood in which they live. I have given a special name to those people. I call them high IQ morons. They are nothing but morons with maybe high IQ. Never forget that as you go ahead in your life, there is so much that you're taking from the society. So when you actually achieve success in life, you have to give back a part of that. And that has to be your social commitment. I was very pleased when the director administered the oath, and that was a very unusual thing that I saw. And it has a social commitment as a part of the oath. You should do it not because you have taken oath, but it should come from within you, that I have drawn so much from the rest of the society. And when I can, I must share a part of what I have achieved with the rest of the society and a part of the gratitude that I have for the society. Final principle is attitude. Attitude is going to make or mar in your life. You have to have a positive attitude in whatever you are doing. If your attitude is not positive, with the best of intelligence that you have, and with the best of hard work that you are doing, you will probably not be able to get anywhere near where you want to be. So, right kind of attitude for the right kind of job must be there, and you can cultivate that attitude within yourselves by sheer introspection, because you have all that it takes. You have the quality, you have the intelligence, and above all, you have a very good head start that TAPMI has given you. So TAPMI has prepared you to face the world, go out there and conquer the world. I wish all of you all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a wonderful speech. Sir, I can guarantee you about my students. Our students will be able to take decisions on a case-to-case basis, but not on a suitcase-to-suitcase basis. As a token of our gratitude, I request Dr. H.S. Ballal to present a memento to our chief guest, please. Thank you, sir. I request Professor Chaudhary Prasad, Dean Planning and Development, to propose the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to all those participating in this 25th convocation of TAPMI today. It's my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks at the end of this August occasion. First of all, let me express my humble thanks to the chief guest of today's program, Dr. Narendra Jadhav, member of the Planning Commission and National Advisory Council, for having traveled all the way from New Delhi to this global education hub of India, despite his tight schedules, for his wonderful advices, addressing our young management graduates of 2009-11 batch and releasing update 2011. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Ballal, the Pro-Chancellor of Manipal University, is an ardent admirer of TAPMI and has been kind enough to preside over this event today. We sincerely thank you for all your support, sir. Our thanks to each of the governing council members here, Dr. P.D. Shenoy, Dr. Mahadevappa, Sri Anant Krishna, Dr. Shantaram, and Sri Ramesh Adige. Thank you very much, all of you, sir. Thanks are also due to all the heads of the departments of Manipal University and officials who are present here today. My heartfelt thanks and appreciation to the outgoing PGP batch of students for having made it to this occasion, despite preponement of the event at a very short notice. Thank you very much. Similarly, thanks are also due to the proud parents of these students who have also accompanied you and then attended today. Thank you very much, all the parents. Next, I would like to thank the batch of students of 2010 and 12 for their enthusiastic involvement in the event. Last but not the least, I express my sincere thanks to the members of the press, print and electronic media, director, deans, faculty, staff members of TAPMI and their family members, management of Syndicate Bank for having permitted us to use this auditorium, and all those who have extended their unstinted support in making today's function a grand success. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Prasad. I request Dr. H.S. Ballal to declare the convocation ceremony closed.
I'm audible, isn't it? I declare the 25th Annual Convocation of TAPMI Management Institute closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I request all of you to rise for the national anthem.